Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to write your very first code in VBA. VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications. Visual Basic is a programming language that was created by Microsoft, and Visual Basic for Applications is a form of the Visual Basic language that allows you to automate things in Microsoft Office applications like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Access. We're going to be writing our VBA code in Excel because Excel is far and away the most widely used application for VBA. So the first thing that we want to do is open Excel and then just open a blank workbook. Our VBA code is going to be stored in this workbook. So the first thing that we want to do is open the IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and that's where we're going to write our VBA code. There are two ways to open the IDE. I like to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Alt F11. So just hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and then hit the F11 key at the same time. And then you see that the IDE pops up. The second way is with the Developer tab. But this tab is not shown by default in the ribbon. So to show the Developer tab, click the File tab, and that will take us to the Backstage area of Excel. This is called the Backstage area. And then what we want to do is go to More, Options, and then we get this window that pops up. And then we want to go to Customize Ribbon. And then from there, we'll be able to choose over here which tabs we would like shown on the ribbon. And you'll see here that I have Developer selected. So yours probably will show that Developer is not selected. So just go ahead and click it and then click OK. And then you'll see the Developer tab on your ribbon. So go ahead and choose Developer. And then if you click on Visual Basic, then you'll get the IDE. And you see if you hover over it that you get the Alt 11, which is the keyboard shortcut. Okay, so now we have our IDE open, so let's write some code. So this is the IDE, and you see that I have this window on the side here, this Project Explorer window. And if you don't see this window when your IDE opens, then if you come up here to this button here, Project Explorer, and just click on that, then the window will be shown. And in this window, you see that we have some things listed. We have the VBA project. So this is actually the project that our code is going to be written in. And then below that, we have some Microsoft Excel objects. We have the sheet, which is this sheet here that was created for us when we created the blank workbook. And then we also have this workbook object, which represents this workbook, the blank workbook that we created, book 1. We can actually write code in these objects, but for the code we're going to be writing right now, we're going to put it in what's called a module. There are 3 kinds of modules in VBA. So if you right-click in this Project Explorer window, you'll get a menu, and if you go down to Insert, you'll see that these are the 3 kinds of modules that you can write your code in. So we are going to be writing our code in this middle one, which is just called module. It's a standard module in VBA. These user form and class modules are more advanced, and I'm going to talk about those in future videos. So just click on module, and then you see that you get this new category here. You have a category called Microsoft Excel objects that we already went over, and then you have this new category called modules, and under that you see module 1. And this is the module that we just added. And I want to show you if I add another one, then I get one called module 2. So these are just the modules that we're adding by right-clicking and inserting them. I don't want this one, so I'm just going to right-click and remove module 2. And it's just going to ask me, do I want to export the module? You don't really need to worry about what that means right now. Just say no. Now we have our module 1, and you'll also notice that when the module was created, this area opened up over here, and this is where we're actually going to write our code. This is the code for module 1. And you see here that it says option explicit, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but for now, just know that you should leave that in there. You should always leave in option explicit. Okay, so let's get to writing some of our code. So the first thing that we want to do is create what's called a procedure. The procedure that we're going to create is called a sub. A sub is short for subroutine. So the first thing that we want to do is write the word sub and then put a space, and then we need to write the name of the subroutine, what we want to call the subroutine. And I'm just going to call it my first program. And then just hit enter. And you'll see that when you hit enter, a pair of parentheses is put at the end of this sub. And also you'll see that an end sub line has been automatically inserted for you as well. All of the code for this subroutine is going to go in between these two lines, this one and this one. And so we want to indent. This will just help us visually as human beings to understand the code better. When it's indented, we'll see that this code belongs to this sub. It belongs inside of this sub. And so I'm going to indent, and then I'm just going to write message box, MSG box, space, and then I want to put some double quotes, and then I just want to write hello world. And let me talk about this a little bit. So message box is what's called a function, and that's another kind of procedure like a sub, and we're going to talk about these later, the difference between a sub and a function in other videos. But for now, just know that this is a piece of code that is provided by VBA that we can use to pop up a message box that will show a message to the user. And then after we say message box, we just need to put in double quotes what we want our message to the user to be. And so that's it. That's our first program. Now we can run this, and the way that we run this is we either click this button here, and you'll see it says run sub, and at the end it says F5 in parentheses. So that's the keyboard shortcut. So you can either click this button or you can press F5 on your keyboard. And so when I do that, I get this message box that pops up, and as you see, it says hello world. So let me make this smaller so that we can see both screens at once, and I'm going to run this again. So when I run it, I need to make sure that my cursor is inside of the sub that I want to run. As you see, if I have my cursor outside and I try to run it, I will get this message box that pops up, and this is listing for me my subroutines. They're called macros here that I have created. It lists my macros, and I can run it this way too. If I just have this one highlighted and then I click run, you'll see that it runs. So that's fine as well. But if you have your cursor inside of the subroutine, when you hit F5, then that is the subroutine that will be run. Okay, so we get this message box, and as you see, this is the message box, which we have created here, and then this is the message that we have passed to this function here. So this is the message that we have asked the message box to display to the user. And then the user will just click OK when they have read the message. So now that we've written this program, we need to save it so that we can reuse it later. The way that we do that is we save it the way that we save any other file. So Control S, and when we hit Control S, we get this window to save the file, just like how we save any other Excel file. And so we just navigate to the location that we would like to save the file. And then you'll see down here that the Save As type is Excel Workbook, this .xlsx extension, which is how you would normally save an Excel workbook. But because this workbook has some code attached to it, we want to make sure that we're saving that code as well. And the way that we do that is we save it as a different type. So if I click on this drop-down menu, you'll see that one of the options I have is Excel Macro Enabled Workbook, this .xlsm extension, as opposed to .xlsx. And this is the one that I want to save it as, a Macro Enabled Workbook. And so I click on that, and then I will just give my file a name, and I'm going to call this Hello World. And so then I just click Save, and now my file has been saved. And so if I go ahead and close this file, I close it all down, and then I go to the location where I saved my macro enable file, and then I see my file there, Hello World with the .xlsm extension. And again, if I look at the type, I'm going to see that it is a macro-enabled worksheet. So if I open that, now you see when this file opens, I have the security warning. Macros have been disabled. Enable content. So this is a warning from Microsoft just letting me know that there are macros in this workbook that I need to be aware of. And it's asking me, do I want to enable the content? Do I want to allow these macros to run? And it's just a security feature because, you know, sometimes people will write malware and try to get you to infect your system. But since I wrote these macros, I know that they're safe. So I'm just going to say enable content. And now you see that, you know, it doesn't really look like anything is in this workbook, but as we know, if we hit Alt F11 and look at our IDE, there is our code, and we can run it again. So I'm going to put my cursor inside the procedure, and I'm going to hit F5, and there I get my message box. So in future videos, we are going to talk about ways to run the code from Excel itself, so that we don't have to come back here to this code window. But for now, I think that's it. We've written our first VBA code, and we've run the program. Congratulations! Thank you for watching my video.